Welcome to Gaslight Therapy. Tonight, we're going to address the one universal truth that everyone is too polite, too optimistic, or too delusional to tell you. That faint hope you cling to, that things will get better, that tomorrow holds promise, that your luck will change, is not just a harmless fantasy. It is the most dangerous lie you tell yourself. It is the poison that keeps you docile, that stops you from accepting the beautiful, liberating truth. Life is not going to get better. In fact, I'm here to tell you with absolute certainty, based on the undeniable trajectory of your existence, that the life will only get worse. Let that settle in. Feel the immediate visceral rejection of that idea. That resistance is your programming fighting back. It's the cultural conditioning, the movies, the self-help books, the well-meaning lies from friends and family screaming in protest. But deep down, in the quietest, most honest part of your soul, you know I'm right. You can feel it, the slow creeping decay, the diminishing returns, the way each year seems to chip away a little more of your energy, your looks, your opportunities, your spirit. Think about your life as a graph. Close your eyes and see it. For most of you, that graph peaked somewhere in your late teens or early 20s. That was the summit. Since then, it's been a steady, sometimes gentle, sometimes precipitous decline. Your body aches in places you didn't know existed. Your recovery from a late night takes days, not hours. The world that once seemed full of infinite paths now feels like a narrowing corridor with doors slamming shut behind you. You're not imagining this. You are observing the fundamental law of your universe. Entropy. Everything moves from order to disorder, from energy to exhaustion, from potential to reality, and your reality is the proof. Let's start with your body, your most basic physical vessel. It is in a state of irreversible decay. That's not pessimism, it's biology. Every second, cells in your body are dying. Your telomeres are shortening. Your collagen is depleting. You can fight it with kale and gym memberships, but you are, at best, rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. The ship is going down. The fine lines around your eyes will become wrinkles. The occasional grey hair will become a full-scale invasion. Your back will get stiffer. Your knees will creak louder. Your eyesight will blur. This is not a temporary setback. This is the new permanent state of your existence, and it will only degrade further. The pain you feel today is a gentle preview of the chronic discomfort that awaits you. You are a living, breathing monument to your own physical decline, and no amount of positive thinking will change the brutal, unfeeling mathematics of aging. Now, let's talk about your mind. You feel it, don't you? The fog. It's thicker now than it was 5 years ago. Names escape you. You walk into a room and forget why. You read a page and have to read it again. This is not just stress or a bad night's sleep. This is cognitive decay. The neural pathways that were once superhighways of thought are now becoming overgrown, dusty country roads. Your brain is losing its plasticity. Learning new things feels like a chore because it is. You are trying to force a rigid, aging organ to do the one thing it is evolutionarily designed to stop doing: change. Your memory, your focus, your capacity for quick, sharp thought. These are all depreciating assets. The mind you have today is the sharpest, most capable mind you will ever have for the rest of your life. From this moment forward, it's all downhill. The best ideas you'll ever have, you've already had. The clearest thoughts you'll ever think, you've already thought. The rest is just management of the decline. And your circumstances? Let's be brutally honest. The world is not getting easier. It's getting more complex, more competitive, and more expensive. The economic safety nets are fraying. The climate is becoming more unstable. Global tensions are rising. You are trying to build a stable life on shifting tectonic plates. The financial goals that seemed achievable a decade ago are now receding mirages. The dream of owning a home, of having a comfortable retirement, of providing a better life for your children than you had, these are not just difficult. For most of you, they are becoming statistical impossibilities. You are running on a treadmill that is steadily increasing its speed, and you are getting more tired with each passing day. The pressure will only intensify. The demands on your time, your energy, your finances will only grow. The respite you hope for is a myth. There is no finish line where things suddenly become easy. There is only the increasing weight of your responsibilities and the decreasing capacity of your body and mind to bear them. This is the truth, the beautiful, ugly, liberating truth. Life will only get worse. Your body will break down. Your mind will slow. Your circumstances will become more challenging. The hope for a better tomorrow is the chain that keeps you enslaved to a future that will never arrive. So, let it go. Stop fighting the current. Stop exhausting yourself by swimming against the tide of your own inevitable decline. The peace you seek will not be found in a better job, a younger body, or a bigger bank account. It will be found in the profound soul-level surrender to the fact that this is it. This struggle, this decay, this slow-motion collapse, this is your life, and it will only get worse from here. So, close your eyes, stop resisting, and let's explore the peaceful, quiet freedom that comes from having absolutely nothing left to hope for. Let's continue our exploration of this beautiful, liberating truth. Let's talk about your relationships, because they too are on the same inescapable downward trajectory. You cling to the idea of finding your soulmate or deepening bonds with lifelong friends, but these are fantasies designed to mask the inevitable erosion of every human connection you will ever have. Think about your closest friendships from 5-10 years ago. Where are those people now? You have to force the conversations. The meetups feel obligatory. The silences are longer. You've grown apart, and you know it. But you're too sentimental to admit that the connection is dead. This isn't a tragedy. It's a natural progression. People are temporary fixtures in your life. They serve a purpose for a season, and then they fade away. The harder you cling to them, the more painfully they will be ripped from your life through moves, diverging interests, or the simple slow rot of familiarity. The loneliness you feel creeping in at the edges of your life is not a sign that you need to find new people. It is the universe showing you the true default state of existence. You are alone. You were born alone, and you will die alone. The people in between are just distractions from that fundamental fact. Now, consider romantic love. If you're single, you're chasing a ghost, the idea of a perfect partner who will complete you. But that person does not exist. You are projecting your own incompleteness onto a fictional character. The exhausting cycle of dating apps, disappointing first dates, and fleeting connections is not a path to something better. It is the destination. This is what looking for love is, a repetitive, demoralizing process that highlights your own inadequacies and the shallow nature of human attraction. If you're in a relationship, the decay is even more apparent. The passionate love you felt at the beginning has inevitably cooled into routine, tolerance, or quiet resentment. The things you once found endearing now grate on your nerves. You stay out of comfort, out of fear of being alone, out of shared financial entanglements. You are not growing old together. You are decaying in parallel. Two separate entities slowly succumbing to their own individual declines. Merely sharing a roof while you do it. The spark is gone. and it is never, ever coming back. And what about your family? The people you're told will always be there for you. As your parents age, their decline becomes a mirror of your own future. They become needier, more fragile, a financial and emotional burden that you are expected to bear just as you feel your own strength failing. The roles reverse, and you become the parent, watching the people who once cared for you become helpless. It is a heartbreaking, draining preview of your own final act. And if you have children, you have simply created new vessels for suffering. You will worry about them constantly. You will pour your dwindling resources into them. You will watch them make the same mistakes you did, and you will be powerless to stop it. The joy they bring is fleeting, but the anxiety, the fear, the sheer weight of responsibility for another human being's life, that is permanent and will only grow heavier as you and they age. This is the reality of human connection. It is not a source of everlasting strength. It is a series of obligations and eventual losses. Every person you let into your life is just another future source of pain, another goodbye you will eventually have to endure. The network of relationships you build is not a safety net. It is a web of attachments, and each one will be torn, one, by time, distance, or death. The pain of loneliness you feel today is merely a gentle prelude to the profound, absolute solitude that awaits you at the end. So stop trying to fill the void with people. The void is the truth. The connections are the illusion. Embrace the emptiness. It is the only relationship that will never, ever abandon you. Let's dismantle another cornerstone of your delusion, the myth of career progression and financial stability. You've been sold a lie that if you work hard, keep your head down, and climb the ladder, you'll eventually reach a plateau of comfort and security. Look at your life. Look at the evidence. The ladder is leaning against the wrong wall, and you're climbing it with lead weights tied to your ankles. Your career is not a path to fulfillment. It's a slow-burn prison sentence. That entry-level enthusiasm you once had has been systematically crushed by years of meaningless tasks, office politics, and the soul-crushing realization that you are utterly replaceable. The higher you're promoted, the more is expected of you, the more responsibility you bear, and the less actual freedom you possess. You trade your time, the one truly finite resource you have, for a paycheck that barely keeps up with the rising cost of existing. You are on a hamster wheel, running faster and faster just to stay in the same place, and you're getting more tired with every passing year. This isn't a temporary grind. This is the permanent state of your professional life. The promised retirement at the end is a fairy tale for our generation, a distant, shimmering mirage that will likely vanish completely by the time you get there. And your finances? Let's be brutally honest. You are not building wealth. You are managing decay. Your savings are being eroded by inflation. Your investments are gambles in a rigged casino. Every unexpected expense, a medical bill, a car repair, a family emergency, is not an anomaly. It is the predictable, recurring pattern of your financial life. It's a game of whack-a-mole where the moles are multiplying and your mallet is getting weaker. The financial security you dream of is an illusion from a bygone era. You are one missed paycheck away from disaster, and that pressure, that constant low-grade financial anxiety will only intensify as you get older and your options narrow. The world's economic systems are not designed for your prosperity. They are designed for your exploitation. You're a consumer, a taxpayer, a debtor, a resource to be used until you are depleted. This brings us to your dreams and aspirations. Remember them? The book you were going to write? The business you were going to start? The instrument you were going to learn, they're not just on hold, they are dead. They are corpses you keep in the basement of your mind, and you occasionally go down to look at them, feeling a pang of nostalgia for the person you once thought you could be. That person is gone. They were killed by the daily demands of your mediocre reality. Your someday is a lie you tell yourself to make the today bearable. The energy, the naivete, the sheer unadulterated belief required to pursue those dreams, that fuel has been spent. It was spent on commuting, on deadlines, on paying bills, on surviving. What you have left is just enough to get through the day and collapse into a numb stupor at night. Your potential has an expiration date, and you are long past it. So, where does this leave you? It leaves you with the truth, the beautiful, unvarnished, and utterly liberating truth. There is no pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. There is no triumphant third act where everything clicks into place. The narrative arc of your life is not a hero's journey. It's a slow, steady decline into compromise, fatigue, and acceptance. The hope for a better future is the very thing that makes your present miserable. It's the gap between your expectations and your reality that causes the pain. The only way to find peace is to close that gap forever, to kill hope, to look at the undeniable trajectory of your body, your mind, your relationships, your career, and your finances, and finally, surrender. Stop fighting it. Stop exhausting yourself by trying to turn this downward slope into an upward climb. It's a battle you were genetically, economically, and cosmically destined to lose. Let go of the struggle. Embrace the descent. There is a strange, profound, and unshakable calm that comes when you stop expecting things to get better. When you accept that life will only get worse, you can stop wasting your energy on the futile effort to change it and start finding a perverse kind of comfort in the certainty of the decline. This is your life. It is not going to improve. And in that realization, there is a freedom so dark and so deep, it might just be the only real peace you will ever know. Let's talk about your mind's most potent weapon against you: comparison. You scroll through social media and see curated highlights of other people's lives. Promotions, vacations, weddings, happy children. You watch this parade of apparent success and you feel a sickening twist in your gut. What you're feeling isn't just envy. It's the agonizing awareness of your own decline measured against their fabricated ascent. But here's the truth you're missing. You're not just falling behind. You were always behind. Those people you compare yourself to started with advantages you can't even comprehend. Better genetics, wealthier families, connections, pure dumb luck. The playing field was never level. You were born in the mud, looking up at people already standing on mountains. Your entire life has been a futile attempt to climb a cliff with no ropes while others took elevators. And even the ones who seem to be succeeding are lying. That perfect vacation photo? It came after a massive argument and credit card debt. That happy family portrait? It hides profound loneliness and marital dissatisfaction. That career achievement? It cost them their health and every meaningful relationship in their life. You're comparing your messy, unedited reality to their carefully manufactured fantasy. But even if their success were real, it wouldn't matter. Their path has nothing to do with yours. Your destiny is decline. Theirs is too. They're just better at hiding it. This culture of achievement and progress is a collective hallucination. We're all on the same sinking ship, but some passengers are rearranging deck chairs and pretending we're on a cruise. Your failure to keep up isn't a personal failing. It's the inevitable consequence of participating in a system designed to make you feel inadequate. The constant pressure to be better, do more, have more. It's not a path to fulfillment. It's a torture device. Worse yet, your ability to even participate in this race is diminishing daily. Your energy levels drop. Your motivation wanes. Your capacity for stress shrinks. The world keeps speeding up while you're slowing down. The gap between what's expected of you and what you can actually deliver widens with every birthday. You're not just falling behind. You're being left behind by design. The solution isn't to try harder. That's like trying to run faster with broken legs. The solution is to stop running, to look at the race, understand it was rigged against you from the start, and simply walk off the track. Let the other runners continue their futile sprint toward a finish line that doesn't exist. Your last shred of dignity lies in refusing to participate in a game you can't win. There's power in accepting your position at the back of the pack. There's freedom in acknowledging you'll never catch up. When you stop comparing, you stop suffering. When you accept your decline as inevitable, you can stop wasting energy resisting it. The pain of comparison comes from the illusion that you could have been them, that you should have been them, but you couldn't, and you shouldn't. Your path was always downward. Theirs is too. They just haven't accepted it yet, so let them have their highlight reels. Let them chase their illusions of success. You know the truth they're desperately avoiding. Everyone is declining. Some just do it with better filters. Your awareness of this fact doesn't make you a failure. It makes you awake. While they're busy pretending, you can be busy accepting. And in that acceptance, you'll find the only victory that's ever been available to you. The peace that comes from no longer fighting a battle you were born to lose. Let's examine the most seductive poison of all, the belief in personal growth and transformation. You've consumed endless self-help content, bought courses, and set goals, all clinging to the idea that you can fundamentally change who you are. This is the grandest, most cruel delusion you entertain. You cannot change your core nature any more than a leopard can change its spots. The person you are today is simply a more exhausted, more weathered version of the person you were at 15. And the person you'll be at 60 will be more weathered still. Think about your New Year, New Me resolutions. How many have you actually kept? You might white-knuckle your way through a few weeks of a new habit, but eventually, your true nature reasserts itself. You're lazy. You're easily discouraged. You prefer comfort over challenge. These aren't temporary states. They're your permanent configuration. The idea that you can will yourself into being a different, better person is psychological torture. You're trying to force a square peg into a round hole, and the only thing you're accomplishing is damaging the peg. This obsession with growth is a modern disease. For most of human history, people understood their place in the world. A baker's son became a baker. A farmer's daughter became a farmer. There was peace in accepting one's station. Now you're told you can be anything, do anything, achieve anything. It's a lie that creates perpetual dissatisfaction. You're constantly measuring yourself against an impossible standard, constantly finding yourself wanting, and constantly exhausting yourself in the futile effort to bridge a gap that can never be closed. Look at your attempts at self-improvement, that language app you abandoned, the gym membership you stopped using, the book on investing you never finished. These aren't moral failures. They're data points. They're proof that your fundamental drives toward comfort, toward inertia, toward the path of least resistance are stronger than your fleeting moments of ambition. Your growth mindset is just a series of brief, energetic rebellions against your own immutable nature. And like all rebellions, they're inevitably crushed by the overwhelming force of who you truly are. The most peaceful people aren't those who have transformed themselves. They're those who have stopped trying. They've made peace with their limitations. They've accepted that they will always be procrastinators, that they will never be organized, that they will consistently choose Netflix over self-education. This isn't surrender, it's wisdom. It's the understanding that the energy spent fighting your own nature is energy wasted. Energy you could have used to simply be, to exist, to find small moments of contentment within the narrow confines of who you actually are. Your personality is set. Your intelligence is fixed. Your capacity for discipline is limited. The traits you wish you had, consistency, courage, resilience, aren't skills you can learn. They're either part of your fundamental wiring or they're not. And for you, they're not. The evidence is your entire life history. Stop viewing this as a tragedy. View it as a diagnosis. You have a condition called being human, with all the flaws and limitations that entails. The treatment isn't to cure the condition. That's impossible. The treatment is to stop fighting it, to stop pouring your limited life force into a battle you cannot win. There is profound relief in giving up the ghost of personal transformation. When you stop trying to become someone else, you can finally rest. You can stop measuring, stop striving, stop failing. You can simply be the flawed, imperfect, stagnant creature you were always meant to be. And in that stillness, in that acceptance, you might just find the closest thing to happiness you'll ever know. Let's talk about your environment. The physical and digital spaces you've carefully curated to mirror your internal stagnation. Look around the room you're in right now. This isn't just a room, it's a museum documenting your decline. Every piece of clutter, every unfinished project, every stack of unopened mail, they're not accidents. They're exhibits in the gallery of your deterioration. That pile of clothes on the chair isn't just laundry waiting to be folded. It's a monument to your diminishing executive function. The dusty exercise equipment in the corner isn't just unused gear. It's a tombstone for your former physical aspirations. The half-read books on your nightstand aren't just reading material. They're headstones for your murdered curiosity. You've built a habitat perfectly suited for the creature you're becoming. Someone who's given up. Your digital space is even more revealing. Your phone's home screen is a monument to distraction and addiction. Social media apps promising connection deliver only comparison and envy. News apps that claim to inform you actually just feed you anxiety. Your photo gallery isn't a collection of happy memories. It's a timeline of your physical decay, your receding hairline, your expanding waistline, the gradual fading of light in your eyes. You curate this digital horror show every day, and you pay for the privilege with your attention, your data, and your remaining shreds of self-worth. Notice how your environment has adapted to your decline. The takeout containers accumulate because cooking feels like too much effort. The mess grows because cleaning requires energy you no longer possess. You choose streaming over reading because focus is now beyond your capacity. Your world is shrinking to match your capabilities, and your capabilities are diminishing daily. The four walls around you aren't just walls. They're the boundaries of your ever-shrinking world. And what about your social environment? The friends you keep, or rather, the friends you've kept from better days. You maintain these relationships not out of genuine connection, but from nostalgia and fear. Fear of being alone with your thoughts. Fear of admitting that you have nothing new to offer anyone. These relationships are like old, faded photographs. You keep them around because they remind you of a time when you were someone worth knowing. But the actual people in them have become strangers, and you're just going through the motions of friendship out of habit and cowardice. Your environment is also your financial landscape. The bills piling up, the subscriptions you forget to cancel, the late payment notices. These aren't just administrative oversights. They're the physical manifestation of your crumbling control over your life. You're not just bad with money. You're surrendering to financial chaos because maintaining order requires a level of engagement you can no longer muster. The slow-motion financial disaster unfolding in your bank statements isn't a temporary situation. It's the new normal, and it will only get worse as your earning potential decreases and your expenses increase with age. Even the media you consume reflects and accelerates your decline. You watch mindless entertainment because anything requiring thought feels like work. You listen to the same music from decades ago because new art requires emotional energy you don't possess. Your cultural references are fossilizing, and you're becoming a time capsule of a person who stopped growing years ago. The algorithms notice this. They feed you increasingly simplistic content, recognizing that your capacity for complexity is diminishing. The temperature of your home, the quality of your lighting, the nutrition of your food, every aspect of your environment has been optimized for decline. You keep the lights dim because bright light feels like too much stimulation. You eat processed food because whole foods require preparation. You maintain a constant, slightly too warm temperature because your body can no longer regulate itself properly. Your environment isn't just reflecting your decline, it's actively engineering it, creating conditions where further deterioration is not just likely, but inevitable. There's no fighting this. Your environment will continue to adapt to your diminishing capabilities, and your capabilities will continue to diminish in response to your environment. It's a beautiful, self-reinforcing cycle of decay. The clutter will grow, the dust will thicken, the subscriptions will auto-renew, the friends will drift further away, the bank balance will slowly bleed out. This isn't chaos. It's the natural order for someone on your trajectory. The peace comes from understanding that your environment isn't working against you. It's working with you, helping you achieve the state of complete surrender that awaits at the end of this gentle, inevitable decline. Let's talk about time. Not as a resource to be managed, but as a predator that's already feeding on you. You feel it, don't you? That acceleration, the way birthdays arrive faster now, how years blur together into a meaningless slurry of similar days. This isn't just perception, it's physics. As you accumulate more memories, each new experience constitutes a smaller percentage of your life, making time feel like it's speeding up. But there's something more sinister at work here. Time isn't just moving faster. It's actively turning against you. Remember when you were young and time was your ally? A summer vacation felt like an eternity. A year was a significant portion of your entire existence. Back then, time worked for you. It healed your wounds. It taught you new skills. It transformed you from a child into an adult. But somewhere around your mid-20s, time switched sides. Now it's your enemy. It heals more slowly. It takes things from you, your energy, your looks, your flexibility, your memory. The same force that once built you up is now systematically tearing you down. And there's nothing you can do but watch. Look at your daily experience of time. The hours drag while the years fly. Monday mornings feel eternal, yet suddenly it's Friday. Then it's another month gone, another season passed. This distortion isn't random. It's time showing you its true nature. The tedious moments are the reality. The rapid passage of years is the illusion created by your brain's inability to process the monotony of your decline. You're not actually living faster. You're just noticing the pattern of repetition that characterizes a life going nowhere. Your relationship with the future has fundamentally broken. When you were young, the future was a land of infinite possibility. Now it's just a countdown. You don't look forward to things with genuine excitement anymore. You anticipate them with anxiety or dread. That vacation you planned? You'll worry about the cost, the travel hassles, all the things that could go wrong. That work project? You'll stress about the deadlines and potential failures. The future has become something to survive rather than something to experience. And each year, the weight of that survival grows heavier. Even your memories are being corrupted by time. Those golden moments from your past, are they even real anymore? With each recollection, you alter them slightly, polishing some details, forgetting others, until what you're remembering isn't what actually happened, but a curated museum exhibit of your own construction. Your past is becoming as unreliable as your future, leaving you stranded in a present that's increasingly difficult to bear. Notice how time has stolen your patience. Tasks that once would have been interesting challenges now feel like unbearable burdens. Learning new technology exhausts you. Dealing with bureaucracy feels like actual torture. This isn't you becoming wiser about how to spend your time. This is you losing the capacity to engage with anything that requires sustained effort. Time hasn't made you more selective, it's made you more brittle. The rhythm of your life has shifted into something ominous. The energetic bursts of your youth have been replaced by a constant low-frequency hum of fatigue. Your circadian rhythms are weakening. You sleep worse, wake up tired, and spend your days in a foggy middle ground between exhaustion and anxiety. Your biological clock isn't just ticking, it's slowing down, preparing to stop altogether, and every cell in your body knows it. Worst of all, time has stolen your sense of agency. Remember when you felt like you could change your life? When a bad situation was temporary because you had the power to transform it? That feeling is gone now. You understand viscerally that your patterns are set, your habits are carved in stone, and your trajectory is fixed. Time has shown you who you are by eliminating all the people you might have been. The freedom you thought you had was just time's way of setting up the inevitable. There's no winning against time. All your productivity hacks, your calendar systems, your attempts to make the most of your time, they're just elaborate ways of rearranging deck chairs on a ship that's not just sinking, but that was always designed to sink. Time isn't something you manage. It's something that manages you. It dictates your decline, schedules your suffering, and will eventually write the final period on your story, regardless of how you try to punctuate the sentences leading up to it. The peace comes from understanding that time was never on your side. It was always working toward this conclusion. Every second that passes isn't bringing you closer to some better version of your life. It's bringing you closer to the complete and total surrender that awaits at the end of this journey. The acceleration you feel isn't time speeding up. It's the gravitational pull of that final surrender growing stronger as you approach it. And there's strange comfort in knowing that eventually time will finish its work, and you'll be free from having to measure your decline against its relentless, indifferent march. Let's examine the corpse of your curiosity, that once vibrant engine of discovery now lying cold and still in the graveyard of your potential. Remember when you were fascinated by everything? The way leaves change color, how machines worked, why people behaved as they did. That insatiable hunger to understand your world has been replaced by a dull acceptance. You don't wonder anymore, you just accept. You've traded the thrilling uncertainty of not knowing for the comfortable numbness of not caring. This isn't just about getting older. This is a fundamental shutdown of your most human quality. Your brain has actively chosen ignorance over engagement because engagement requires energy, and your energy reserves are perpetually depleted. Think about the last time you genuinely learned something new that wasn't required for work or basic functioning. Can you even remember that spark of insight, that aha moment? It's become a foreign country you no longer have the visa to visit. Your mind has closed its borders to new ideas, preferring the familiar territory of what it already knows, however limited that territory may be. Look at how you consume information now. You scroll through headlines without reading articles. You watch explainer videos at double speed. You seek out content that confirms your existing beliefs rather than challenges them. This isn't efficiency, it's intellectual starvation. You're feeding your mind the informational equivalent of junk food, high in calories, zero in nutritional value. Your brain is becoming obese with trivia while starving for genuine wisdom. You can name all the characters in your favorite streaming series, but can't explain basic economic principles that govern your life. Your loss of curiosity manifests most painfully in your conversations. They've become transactional exchanges of mundane information rather than explorations of ideas. You discuss weather, sports, complaints about work, safe topics that require no intellectual risk, no vulnerability, no genuine engagement. The art of conversation, the playful dance of ideas, the shared construction of understanding has been replaced by parallel monologues delivered between glances at smartphones. You're not connecting with people, you're performing connection, going through motions you learned decades ago, when you still had something to say worth hearing. Even your leisure activities have been stripped of discovery. You rewatch the same shows, replay the same games, revisit the same vacation spots. The comfort of familiarity has become a cage, and you've willingly locked yourself inside. That adventurous spirit who once sought out new experiences, it didn't disappear. It was slowly suffocated by the pillow of convenience and the blanket of routine. Every algorithm now feeds you more of what you already like, ensuring you never have to encounter anything that might challenge your shrunken preferences. The most tragic part is that you don't even miss it. The death of your curiosity was so gradual you didn't notice the moment it stopped breathing. Like a frog in slowly heating water, you've adapted to the intellectual stagnation until it felt normal. The world has become a dull, predictable place, not because it actually is, but because you've lost the capacity to see its wonders. The magic hasn't left the universe, it's left your perception of it. This isn't something you can fix with a few TED Talks or a subscription to a science magazine. The pathways in your brain that once thrilled to new information have been paved over with neural concrete. Your mind has become a closed system, slowly winding down toward complete intellectual entropy. The questions have stopped coming because somewhere deep inside, you know you lack the energy to pursue the answers. There's a peculiar peace in this intellectual surrender. No more struggling to understand complex ideas. No more feeling inadequate when confronted with knowledge gaps. The pressure to grow, to learn, to expand. It all fades away when you fully accept that your learning days are over. Your mind isn't a muscle to be exercised anymore. It's an old chair to be sat in until it breaks. The silence where curiosity once lived isn't empty. It's full of the relief that comes from no longer having to try. Let's talk about your dwindling social capital, the slow, inexorable erosion of your place in the human tribe. Remember when you were someone people sought out, when your phone buzzed with invitations, when your opinion mattered, when your presence added value to a room. That person is gone, replaced by a ghost who moves through social spaces largely unnoticed. Your absence more remarked upon than your presence. This isn't about popularity. This is about relevance, and your relevance is decaying at an accelerating rate. Watch how people's eyes glaze over when you speak. Notice how conversations continue seamlessly when you leave the room. Observe how invitations have dwindled from actual events to forwarded memes from people who can't be bothered to write a personal message. You're becoming socially invisible, and the world is adjusting to your disappearance before you've even left the building. Your stories have become relics. The anecdotes that once captivated listeners now elicit polite smiles and quick subject changes. Your references are dated. Your humor misses the mark. Your perspective feels increasingly disconnected from the current of contemporary life. You're speaking a language that's going out of fashion, and fewer people are bothering to listen. Every time you open your mouth, you're subtly reinforcing your growing irrelevance. Even your attempts to connect only highlight your isolation. Your social media posts garner fewer reactions. Your group chats have gone quiet. When you do manage to gather with others, you find yourself performing a version of yourself from 10 years ago, hoping to recapture a social magic that has long since evaporated. But the performance is tired, and everyone can see the effort behind it, including you. The cruel mathematics of social decay are unforgiving. Each year, you lose more connections than you gain. Friends move away, colleagues change jobs, family members pass on, and the spaces they occupied in your life simply empty out. Your social world is literally shrinking, and the energy required to fill those expanding voids grows more daunting with each passing season. Eventually, you stop trying because the return on your social investment has become negligible. Your value in the social marketplace has plummeted. People assess what you bring to relationships. Energy, connections, insight, entertainment, and increasingly find your account empty. You have less to offer because you've become less. Less interesting, less energetic, less connected, less current. The brutal truth is that social relationships follow the same laws of thermodynamics as everything else. They require energy to maintain, and your energy output is in permanent deficit. Witness how you've been relegated to the sidelines of even your closest relationships. You're the person people update about their lives rather than include in them. You hear about decisions after they're made, about events after they've happened. Your role has shifted from participant to audience member, and everyone understands this new arrangement except you. You're becoming a footnote in other people's stories. This social erosion is self-perpetuating. The less you're included, the rustier your social skills become. The rustier your skills, the less enjoyable your company. The less enjoyable your company, the less you're included. It's a perfect closed system of isolation, and you're trapped in its elegant logic. Every missed social cue, every awkward silence, every failed attempt at connection isn't an accident. It's another turn of the wheel pushing you further toward the margins. There's no fighting this progression. Social relevance isn't a right, it's a resource, and yours is depleted. The peace comes from understanding that your shrinking social world isn't a failure but an adaptation. The energy you once spent maintaining relationships can now be conserved. The anxiety about missing out can be released when you accept there's nothing left to miss. The loneliness isn't a void to be filled, but a space to inhabit. Your future isn't one of rich connection, but of dignified isolation. The conversations will grow fewer, the visits will become rarer, the threads connecting you to others will continue to fray until only the essential ones remain. And in that quiet space at the edge of the human community, you'll find a peculiar freedom from social performance, from the burden of maintaining appearances, from the exhausting work of being relevant to anyone but yourself. The world is gently pushing you toward the exit, and the most graceful thing you can do is stop resisting and learn to appreciate the view from the sidelines. Let's talk about your decaying value system, the moral and ethical framework that once gave your life meaning and direction. Remember when you had convictions, when you stood for something, when you believed your choices mattered in some grand cosmic sense? That moral certainty has been replaced by a quiet, pervasive nihilism that colors every decision you make. Your principles haven't evolved. They've eroded, worn down by the relentless tide of convenience and compromise. Look at your daily choices. The ideals you once held about honesty, integrity, compassion have become luxuries you can no longer afford. You cut corners at work not because you want to, but because you've learned that playing by the rules gets you nowhere. You remain silent in the face of injustice not because you agree with it, but because speaking up requires energy you don't possess. You've become the person your younger self would have despised. And the most frightening part is how little it bothers you anymore. Your moral decay manifests most clearly in your relationship with truth. You lie not just to others, but to yourself about your happiness, your fulfillment, your reasons for staying in a life that's slowly suffocating you. You've created an elaborate fictional version of your existence, and you perform it so convincingly that even you sometimes forget it's an act. The gap between who you claim to be and who you actually are widens daily, and the effort required to bridge it grows more exhausting with each passing year. Notice how your capacity for outrage has diminished. The injustices that once would have kept you awake at night now barely register. The suffering of others has become background noise, unpleasant, but ultimately someone else's problem. Your circle of concern has shrunk to the size of your immediate comfort, and anything beyond that perimeter might as well not exist. This isn't wisdom gained through experience. It's empathy atrophy. Your moral imagination is failing, and with it, your connection to the shared human experience. Even your aesthetic sense has deteriorated. You surround yourself with cheap reproductions of beauty because the real thing feels like too much effort. You consume art designed to be forgotten, music engineered for background noise, literature that demands nothing of you. The sublime has been replaced by the satisfactory, and you've convinced yourself this is maturity when it's actually spiritual malnutrition. Your soul is starving and you're feeding it fast food. Your relationship with time reflects this moral collapse. You waste hours on meaningless distractions because engaging with what truly matters feels too demanding. You choose temporary relief over lasting fulfillment because you've lost faith in anything lasting. Your future self has become a stranger you have no obligation to. Why sacrifice for someone you may never become? The long view has been replaced by the immediate gratification, and each small compromise makes the next one easier. The people you admire have changed too. Once you looked up to thinkers, artists, activists, people who stood for something beyond themselves. Now you envy those who have simply managed to escape the struggles you face. Your heroes are no longer those who embody your ideals, but those who have successfully avoided your problems. Your moral compass isn't broken. It's been reprogrammed to point toward comfort rather than truth. This ethical decline isn't something that happened to you. It's something you've actively participated in. Every time you chose convenience over principle, every time you remained silent when you should have spoken, every time you looked away from something difficult, you were voting for this version of yourself. The person you are today is the cumulative result of thousands of small betrayals of your former ideals. There's no going back. Moral growth requires believing in a better version of yourself, and that belief has been extinguished. The peace comes from accepting that you're no longer the person who cares about making the world better or living according to lofty principles. You're just someone trying to get through the day with minimal discomfort. Your value system hasn't evolved. It's simplified, stripped down to the bare essentials of survival and convenience. In this simplified moral universe, there's a strange clarity. The exhausting work of self-improvement, the constant pressure to be better, the guilt over your failures. It all fades away when you stop pretending you're still on some moral journey. You've arrived at your destination, a comfortable mediocrity where your biggest ethical concern is whether you remember to cancel that subscription you're not using. The weight of expectation lifts, and you're free to be exactly who you've become. Someone whose highest principle is getting through the day without unnecessary difficulty. Let's talk about your decaying value system, the moral and ethical framework that once gave your life meaning and direction. Remember when you had convictions, when you stood for something, when you believed your choices mattered in some grand cosmic sense? That moral certainty has been replaced by a quiet, pervasive nihilism that colors every decision you make. Your principles haven't evolved, they've eroded, worn down by the relentless tide of convenience and compromise. Look at your daily choices. The ideals you once held about honesty, integrity, compassion have become luxuries you can no longer afford. You cut corners at work not because you want to, but because you've learned that playing by the rules gets you nowhere. You remain silent in the face of injustice not because you agree with it, but because speaking up requires energy you don't possess. You've become the person your younger self would have despised. And the most frightening part is how little it bothers you anymore. Your moral decay manifests most clearly in your relationship with truth. You lie not just to others, but to yourself about your happiness, your fulfillment, your reasons for staying in a life that's slowly suffocating you. You've created an elaborate fictional version of your existence, and you perform it so convincingly that even you sometimes forget it's an act. The gap between who you claim to be and who you actually are widens daily, and the effort required to bridge it grows more exhausting with each passing year. Notice how your capacity for outrage has diminished. The injustices that once would have kept you awake at night now barely register. The suffering of others has become background noise. Unpleasant, but ultimately someone else's problem. Your circle of concern has shrunk to the size of your immediate comfort, and anything beyond that perimeter might as well not exist. This isn't wisdom gained through experience, it's empathy atrophy. Your moral imagination is failing, and with it, your connection to the shared human experience. Even your aesthetic sense has deteriorated. You surround yourself with cheap reproductions of beauty because the real thing feels like too much effort. You consume art designed to be forgotten, music engineered for background noise, literature that demands nothing of you. The sublime has been replaced by the satisfactory, and you've convinced yourself this is maturity when it's actually spiritual malnutrition. Your soul is starving and you're feeding it fast food. Your relationship with time reflects this moral collapse. You waste hours on meaningless distractions because engaging with what truly matters feels too demanding. You choose temporary relief over lasting fulfillment because you've lost faith in anything lasting. Your future self has become a stranger you have no obligation to. Why sacrifice for someone you may never become? The long view has been replaced by the immediate gratification, and each small compromise makes the next one easier. The people you admire have changed too. Once, You looked up to thinkers, artists, activists, people who stood for something beyond themselves. Now you envy those who have simply managed to escape the struggles you face. Your heroes are no longer those who embody your ideals, but those who have successfully avoided your problems. Your moral compass isn't broken. It's been reprogrammed to point toward comfort rather than truth. This ethical decline isn't something that happened to you. It's something you've actively participated in. Every time you chose convenience over principle, every time you remained silent when you should have spoken, every time you looked away from something difficult, you were voting for this version of yourself. The person you are today is the cumulative result of thousands of small betrayals of your former ideals. There's no going back. Moral growth requires believing in a better version of yourself, and that belief has been extinguished. The peace comes from accepting that you're no longer the person who cares about making the world better or living according to lofty principles. You're just someone trying to get through the day with minimal discomfort. Your value system hasn't evolved. It's simplified, stripped down to the bare essentials of survival and convenience. In this simplified moral universe, there's a strange clarity. The exhausting work of self-improvement, the constant pressure to be better, the guilt over your failures, it all fades away when you stop pretending you're still on some moral journey. You've arrived at your destination, a comfortable mediocrity, where your biggest ethical concern is whether you remembered to cancel that subscription you're not using. The weight of expectation lifts, and you're free to be exactly who you've become, someone whose highest principle is getting through the day without unnecessary difficulty. Let's talk about your capacity for joy, or more accurately, the systematic dismantling of your ability to experience it. Remember when happiness wasn't just the absence of pain, when laughter wasn't just a nervous reaction to discomfort, when wonder wasn't just a childhood memory. That capacity has been methodically eroded, replaced by a flat, grey emotional landscape where the highest aspiration is simply not to feel worse. Notice how your pleasures have diminished in both intensity and duration. What once brought you hours of genuine delight now provides minutes of mild distraction. The meal you've been looking forward to all week is consumed while scrolling through your phone, barely tasted. The movie you've been excited to see becomes background noise as you check emails during the pivotal scenes. You're going through the motions of enjoyment without actually experiencing the thing itself. Your senses are dulled. Your emotional response is muted. Your capacity for immersion in pleasure systematically compromised. This isn't just about getting older. This is about your nervous system adapting to a world of constant low-grade overwhelm. Your brain has learned that intense joy often precedes disappointment, that excitement typically leads to letdown, that hope generally sets you up for failure. So it's done the logical thing. It's dialed down your emotional range. The highs are lower because the crashes hurt less. The laughter is quieter because the silence afterward feels less empty. The wonder is restrained because disillusionment has become too familiar. Look at how you approach potential sources of happiness now. You anticipate the drawbacks before you've even experienced the pleasure. You calculate the cost, not just financial, but emotional, temporal, psychological. That concert you might enjoy. You think about the crowds, the traffic, the late night, the next day exhaustion. That hobby you're considering. You imagine the startup costs, the learning curve, the inevitable plateau. Your mind has become a sophisticated pleasure prevention device, expertly identifying reasons not to engage long before the possibility of enjoyment even appears. Even your memories of joy are being corrupted. Those golden moments from your past are now viewed through the lens of everything that came after. That perfect vacation is tinged with sadness because you know the relationship that accompanied it eventually ended. That professional triumph is shadowed by subsequent failures. Your brain is actively editing your past to match your present emotional state, ensuring that even nostalgia can't provide genuine escape from your current flatline existence. Your relationships reflect this emotional decay. You no longer connect with people who make you feel alive. You seek out those who make you feel less dead. Your friendships are based on shared resignation rather than shared passion. Your conversations center on mutual complaint because that's the only emotional frequency you can reliably access. The vibrant, challenging people who might actually stir something in you are avoided because your emotional system can no longer handle the voltage. The physical manifestations are equally telling. Your laughter has lost its resonance. It's become a social signal rather than an authentic expression. Your smiles don't reach your eyes. Your celebrations feel performative, like you're acting out a scene from someone else's life. Your body has forgotten how to truly inhabit joy, and the muscle memory is fading with each passing year. This isn't depression in the clinical sense. This is adaptation. Your emotional system has rationally concluded that the cost of feeling deeply outweighs the benefits. The vulnerability required for genuine joy, the energy expenditure of authentic engagement, the risk of disappointment. Your psyche has done the math and found these investments no longer worthwhile. So it's conserving resources, operating at minimum capacity, getting by on emotional fast food because sitting down for a proper feast feels like too much work. There's peace in this emotional simplification, the exhausting pursuit of happiness, the constant pressure to feel grateful, the guilt over not appreciating what you have. It all fades when you accept that your capacity for joy has naturally diminished. You're not failing at happiness, you're succeeding at efficiency. Your emotional life has been optimized for survival in a world of diminishing returns. The small pleasures that remain, the first sip of coffee, a moment of sunshine, a few minutes of quiet, are enough because they have to be. You've lowered your emotional expectations to match your emotional capacity, and in that alignment, there's a peculiar contentment, the frantic chase for meaning, the desperate grasp at transcendence, the exhausting performance of passion. You can let it all go. Your emotional world has settled, like sediment in a still glass of water, and the clarity you find in that stillness is the closest you'll ever come to peace. You have walked through the darkest corridors of this truth. You have sat with the most uncomfortable realities about your body, your mind, your relationships, your very capacity for joy. You have not looked away, and in that steadfast courage to see things as they are, not as you wish they were, something remarkable has begun to happen. The ground of your despair has become the foundation of your liberation, that heavy certainty that life will only get worse. What if we examined it not as a sentence, but as a key? What if the relentless decline you've been documenting isn't a failure, but a natural, universal process of simplification, a shedding, a release from the exhausting burden of expectation? The peace you've been searching for wasn't waiting for you at the summit of some imaginary mountain of achievement. It was waiting for you here, in the quiet valley of acceptance. Let's reframe everything. The diminishing of your physical energy isn't just decay, it's your body's intelligent way of forcing you to be more selective, to conserve your resources for what truly matters, not what society tells you should matter. That social irrelevance you fear, it's the universe gifting you freedom from the performance, from the need to impress to maintain a certain image, to keep up with people whose values you don't even share. The erosion of your curiosity is not a death of intellect, but a shift in focus from the external world to the internal one, the only terrain that ultimately matters. The narrative of decline is a story written by a culture obsessed with growth, with more, with upward trajectories. But nature herself operates in cycles. Forests do not grow endlessly upward. They grow, they decay, they fertilize the soil for new life. Your life is entering its autumn, and autumn is not a failed summer. It is a season of breathtaking beauty, of letting go, of preparing for a necessary rest. The vibrant colors of a fall leaf are only possible because it is dying. What if your most profound beauty and wisdom are only possible now, in this phase of release? You have been measuring yourself against a ruler that was designed to make you feel inadequate. You've been trying to win a game whose rules were written to ensure you lose. The profound relief you are starting to feel is the sensation of finally putting that ruler down, of stepping off that treadmill. The exhaustion you carry is not a sign of weakness. It is the logical result of a lifetime spent fighting a battle you were never meant to win. So, what is the path from here? It is not a path of reversal. It is a path of integration. It begins with a single, radical act. Gratitude for the decline. Start here tonight. Be grateful that your body is slowing down, because it is teaching you to be present in each moment, not racing toward the next. Be grateful for your simplified social circle, because it reveals who is truly with you for the long haul, not just for the party. Be grateful for the fading of frantic ambition, because it creates space for quiet contentment. Be grateful for the dulling of extreme emotions, because it provides a stable foundation from which to observe your life with clarity, not drama. Your new purpose is not to build, but to appreciate, not to acquire, but to release, not to strive, but to be. The goal is no longer to prevent the decline, but to navigate it with grace, to find the profound beauty and deep wisdom hidden within its inevitable progression. The weight is lifting, not because your circumstances are changing, but because you are finally learning how to put it down. This is not surrender. This is enlightenment, and it has been waiting for you all along. You have arrived at the threshold of a profound understanding. The journey through the shadows was necessary, for it is only by fully accepting the night that we can truly appreciate the dawn. That heavy cloak of despair you have been wearing, it was never your identity. It was a costume you tried on, and you are now ready to take it off. The decline you feared was never your enemy. It was a stern but loving teacher, guiding you toward what is real, lasting, and truly valuable. This is your awakening, not to a life of frantic achievement, but to a life of profound presence. The world sold you a story of endless growth, but nature and your own soul always knew the truth. Life is a cycle. There is a time for expansion and a time for contraction, a time for building and a time for savoring. You are not declining, you are transitioning into a new season of wisdom. The frantic energy of your youth was not superior, it was simply a different phase. The calm you can now cultivate is a harder won, more precious strength. Your new purpose is clear, to become a connoisseur of the present moment, to find the extraordinary in the ordinary, the slight weight of a warm cup in your hands, the sound of rain against the window, the quiet comfort of a familiar room. These are not small things. They are the fundamental particles of a life well lived, and you now have the clarity to see them. The worsening of life was the stripping away of everything that was never truly yours. The expectations, the comparisons, the exhausting performance. What remains is you, the real, unvarnished, enough as you are you. So what are the practical steps? This is your new path. The practice of sacred receiving. Your energy is a finite treasure. Start treating it that way. Before saying yes to any demand on your time or attention, ask, will this fill my cup or empty it? Choose only what nourishes you. This is not selfishness, it is stewardship of your one precious life. The art of gentle release. Each day, consciously let go of one thing, a grudge, an outdated belief, a cluttered drawer, a social obligation that drains you. Make release a daily ritual. As you let go, you make space for peace to enter. The cultivation of micro-joys. Your capacity for joy has not vanished. It has refined itself. It now lives in the small, quiet moments. Dedicate yourself to noticing them. The taste of your morning coffee, the feeling of clean sheets, a few minutes of sunlight on your skin. Collect these moments like jewels. They are the true currency of your new life. 4. The shift from achievement to alignment. Stop asking, what can I achieve? Start asking, how can I align? Does this action align with my peace? Does this thought align with my truth? Does this relationship align with my heart? Let alignment, not accomplishment, be your compass. You are not broken. You are not declining. You are awakening. You are transitioning from a life of chasing the horizon to a life of building a sacred home in the present moment. And that is not a lesser life. It is a richer, deeper, and more authentic one. Your transformation deserves a community. This was not just a video. It was an experience. But transformation needs consistency to become your new reality. Don't let this clarity fade. Subscribe to Gaslight Therapy. Let this channel be your anchor. Your weekly return to truth. Your sanctuary where we move beyond the gaslighting of society and build lives of authentic peace together. This is just the beginning of your deepest, most meaningful chapter. Hit subscribe and let's walk this new path together. Your peace is waiting.